you know, either younger than us or, you know, passed and retired. So why not? You know, I want to challenge myself. The best always looking to fight the best and challenge themselves, you know, and why not, you know, challenge.
Terence Crawford can't beat him, right? This is a money grab for Terence Crawford. It's just a situation where Terence Crawford is trying to fill up his bank account opposed to actually his legacy.
But if you study Floyd closely, like I have, you will notice that he never wastes any steps while he's in.
During a live conversation with Stephen A. Smith, reports surfaced that Terence Crawford is on board with Floyd Mayweather Jr.'s proposed matchup. Crawford shared that his mindset has always been about stepping into uncomfortable situations and taking on the toughest challenges available, music. He emphasized that elite fighters should not avoid each other, arguing that true greatness is proven when top names actually face off. Speaking with calm confidence, Crawford suggested that a potential clash with Mayweather would be another chance to elevate his legacy and test the limits of his own career.
This is Terence the businessman talking, right? They got to pay the cheddar to make it better, right?
For sure, for sure. All money ain't good money, so you got to know that.
Okay, fair enough. I hate to use the word easy, but at times it did feel like you were, you know, having a really easy time out there. Were you expecting it to play out that way?
Listen, it's never.
Stephen A. Smith has never been shy about strong opinions in sports media, and his view on boxing reflects that same confidence. So when he openly praised Terence Crawford for winning world titles across 4 different weight classes, it carried real weight rather than sounding like casual praise. Achieving that level of success in modern boxing is rare, especially at a time when many fighters avoid moving up in weight due to risk and uncertainty. Crawford's ability to rise through divisions and still dominate opponents at every level sets him apart from his peers. According to Stephen A., that combination of range and dominance firmly places Crawford among the elite pound-for-pound legends, reflecting not just physical adaptability but also elite skill, sharp ring IQ, mental strength, and a constant drive to test himself against the toughest challenges available.
Terence Crawford is the best fighter on the planet. Pound for pound, he's that dude. In this 4-belt era, he is now the undisputed world champion 3 times over. 140 pounds, 147, now 168 pounds, claiming all the belts. You don't see people doing that very often. Going up against a guy who was perceived as being bigger and stronger, Crawford was strong. Crawford was strong enough to fend him off, strong enough to make him respect his own power. He used his jab, he used his distance. He had poise in the ring, he wasn't rattled. He backed up and moved when necessary and kept us different. He exchanged enough to gain respect when necessary. It was a brilliant, brilliant, masterful fight on Terence.
Roy Jones Jr., a true icon who understands better than most what it takes to succeed across multiple weight classes, has openly praised Terence Crawford's ring intelligence. Reflecting on Crawford's performance against Canelo Alvarez, Jones highlighted how Crawford showed a rare ability to draw inspiration from the styles of Floyd Mayweather Jr. and Erislandy Lara, 2 fighters who tested Canelo in very different ways. Jones explained that Crawford's biggest strength is his ability to study opponents, absorb lessons from past fights, and then apply them when it matters most. That level of awareness, he believes, elevates Crawford beyond pure athletic talent and makes him a true thinker inside the ring. What impressed Jones most is that Crawford doesn't simply copy other styles, but adapts and reshapes them to fit his own timing and instincts, making them even more effective in real fights. According to Jones, this kind of flexibility is what separates Crawford from fighters who rely on one approach and struggle at the highest level.
Career, people like Erislandy Lara gave you the blueprint on how to beat him. People like Floyd Mayweather also gave you the blueprint on how to beat him. But Bud is more fierce, more fearsome and more angrier and more meaner than both of those guys. So you know if they showed you the blueprint, Bud gonna go out there, take that blueprint and do even more with it, which is what Bud did. So it was never a question in my mind whether Bud really was going to outbox me, just if he could take the punch. And right away he showed, bam, he could take the punch. So I knew from that point, if he just slow him down, which he did, he'd be okay. Then late in the fight, what other people still didn't see, late in the fight, Bud started hitting Canelo's body. One of those body shots, I think about the 7th or 8th round, hurt Canelo. I was like, whoa. Bud hit him in the right spot then. He got Canelo's respect with that too. So Bud fought a very, very awesome fight, fought a beautiful fight, very tactical.
Very controlled.
Yes, it was a beautiful fight for boxing.
It was a beautiful fight. You know, Bud got hit with some shots.
He did. He did.
He got hit with some single shots going out. You know, he's going out, and you know Canelo, if he has you trapped in the corner or along the ropes, it's typically 1 to 2 big shots. You know that if you've watched him.
Yep.
So you could tell Crawford, as he was going out, he knew the one shot was coming, and several times it landed. He even got hit with a 2-piece. I don't remember what round it was, uppercut right hand that Crawford took well. So when you started seeing him absorb the shots, if you're Team Crawford, you don't want him to take that shot. But if you started seeing that, now you know that, okay. And I think that's what gave Crawford the green light to stay there a little bit longer.
He smiled about it.
He smiled about it.
Yeah.
And sometimes that smile can be a lie, and sometimes that smile can mean what I think it meant for Crawford, which is, oh, that's not as bad as I thought it was.
The possibility of Terence Crawford sharing the ring with Floyd Mayweather Jr., even in an exhibition setting, has sparked heated debate across the boxing world music. Some critics argue that a matchup like this could raise questions about Crawford's long-term legacy. From their point of view, stepping into a spectacle-driven fight might distract from the historic achievements he has already earned, including his dominant win over Errol Spence Jr. and his standout performance against Canelo Alvarez. They feel it could look more like chasing a huge payday rather than continuing to pursue legacy-defining challenges, especially since Mayweather's recent appearances have mostly been high-profile exhibitions instead of traditional competitive bouts. However, supporters believe Crawford's legacy is already secure, and facing Mayweather would simply add another memorable chapter to an already elite career.
It's just a situation where Terence Crawford is trying to fill up his bank account opposed to actually his legacy. This is what was being said, right? This is what people perceived. Terence Crawford was just attempting to...
Stacking the careers of Floyd Mayweather Jr. and Terence Crawford side by side always sparks a heated and divided debate, music. Mayweather's record includes wins over some of boxing's biggest names, but critics often question the timing and context of those victories. They argue that Canelo Alvarez was still developing when he faced Floyd, and that Manny Pacquiao entered their 2015 megafight dealing with physical issues. Some also point to Floyd's lack of rematches, especially a second fight with Pacquiao, as something that leaves unanswered questions. On the other hand, Crawford's career is seen differently, with many of his biggest wins coming against opponents at or near their peak. This difference keeps the debate alive over whether Mayweather's perfect record reflects pure dominance or also benefited from timing and smart matchmaking choices.
Mayweather's still greater than Terence Crawford. We need to really talk about this now. A lot of you guys are putting Crawford a bit too high. If you want to say Crawford could beat Floyd, I'm more open to that conversation, but when you're lining up the careers, I'm going to say Floyd every time. While they're both 5 division, Bud has become 3-time undisputed, but he's only fought 10 world champions to Floyd's 25 world champions. You can't take away the 5 division, 3-time undisputed. In terms of accolades, yeah, he probably gets the nod over Floyd. I say the accolades are about relative, considering Floyd Mayweather won Fighter of the Decade as well. But when you get to the resumes, Pacquiao, Oscar, Canelo, Cotto, Mosley, Castillo, Marquez, Zab, Gotti, Hatton, and Corley. There's probably way more people that this guy just didn't name. And then when you get to Bud's resume, not saying it's just bad, but the only names that's really worth mentioning is going to be Spence and Canelo. It's not a knock on Bud. Bud was not able to make those fights early on in his career. But I got to tell you guys what it is. Bud's resume just doesn't line up with Floyd's. Take their top 20 wins. Bud don't even got 20 wins to really sit here and name. Floyd got a good 20-something plus. Bud probably got about 10 wins that we could really sit here and name. Floyd's still greater than Bud in my...
Tony Jeff, a highly regarded voice in boxing analysis, has pointed out that Floyd Mayweather Jr.'s greatest weapon went far beyond fast hands or elite defense. In his view, it was Mayweather's mindset that truly separated him from everyone else. Floyd carried a strong belief that no opponent could outthink or outsmart him, and that confidence was clear every time he stepped into the ring. Even in fights that looked close on paper, his trust in his ring intelligence often shifted the fight in his favor. He had a rare ability to read opponents in real time, adjust instantly, and stay calm under extreme pressure. Instead of relying only on athletic ability, Mayweather combined mental sharpness with technical perfection, giving the impression that he was always a step ahead. Jeff emphasizes that this mix of psychological dominance and flawless execution is what made Floyd feel almost untouchable and helped him retire with an undefeated record.
They're really confident, they really believe in themselves, but you need more than that mindset. You need to have the full package of everything that I'm talking about, what Floyd has got.
Fighters should only want to get better. The more you win, the more you should work hard. If you think about losing, you're gonna lose. All I ever thought about was winning. So that's all I know.
Floyd would visualize his success before he even stepped into the ring. There was no alternative to him but winning. And this mindset isn't just for boxing, it's for all walks of life. And I've actually done a full video talking about how I used this mindset of visualization to win my Olympic medal. And it was an absolute game changer. Now, Floyd used to use this mindset to ease the pressure that he put himself under. And he made himself think like, I'm not under any pressure right now, where he was under immense pressure.
Pressure either makes you or break you. Well, you see where I'm at, so it's obvious that I'm the type of athlete or I'm the type of entertainer that can deal with pressure. There's never no pressure.
Now, if you watch his fight in 2013 when he fought Canelo Alvarez, Canelo came in a young, strong, undefeated fighter, but by round 2, Floyd kind of had him figured out. He was reading Canelo's jab. He would slip outside and then come back with a clean counter punch, then move his feet and get out of the way. He basically had the full fight under control, and he was controlling the full rhythm of the fight. He was forcing Canelo to fight at his pace. And this is what he would do in all of his fights. He would get his opponent to do what he wanted them to do without their opponent even realizing it, which is what we call boxing IQ. Now, even though I'm not a fan of Floyd Mayweather personally, because of the time when I did meet him, what he said to me made me just feel like this.
The boxing world never stops searching for big-name matchups, and one fight that's generating real buzz is a potential showdown between Terence Crawford and David Benavidez. Benavidez would bring clear physical advantages, heavy punching power, and relentless pressure, creating a dangerous and unfamiliar test for Crawford. Many fans see it as the kind of high-risk fight that could push Crawford into new territory and truly test his greatness. Music. Even without any official confirmation, the speculation keeps growing, reflecting what fans want most: career-defining fights instead of money-driven exhibitions. A Crawford versus Benavidez clash would be a classic contrast of skill versus strength, intelligence versus aggression, and that alone makes it a dream matchup for boxing purists.
This past Saturday, Mexican Independence Day weekend, he took on and defeated another first ballot Hall of Famer, but he essentially jumped up 3 weight classes, technically 2, from 154 to 168, but only had 1 fight at 154 last August against Israel Majamov. Terence Crawford defeated Saul Canelo Alvarez, who is a 4-division champion, 2-time undisputed super middleweight, and the reigning, at the time, super middleweight world champion. Undisputed world champion. And Terence Crawford beat him handily and convincingly. And because he beat him so easily, now the 63 win, 3 loss, 2 draw, 39 win by way of knockout, biggest threat has been now imposed on Terence Bud Crawford. And that's the Mexican Ecuadorian monster, David Benavidez, who is a 2-division undefeated world champion, is the 2-time WBC super middleweight and reigning WBC light heavyweight, 175-pound champion, who has a record of 30 wins, no loss, no draw, 24 wins by way of knockout. He stands 6'2" with a 75-inch arm reach. This is a fight that David Benavidez has been calling for Canelo Alvarez when he was at 168, and Canelo Alvarez strategically maneuvered around him. But Canelo Alvarez is 5'7", with a 70-inch arm reach, started his career at 147 pounds, made his real name at 154 pounds. He's not a big guy, okay? And styles make fights. Benavidez is 6'2", with a 75-inch arm reach. His last fight at 168 against Demetrius Andrade, he rehydrated to 193. So he's a big guy. Canelo Alvarez probably rehydrate to 182, maybe 185 max, right? He's not a big guy.
Putting Floyd Mayweather Jr. and Terence Crawford side by side creates a debate that rarely reaches a clear conclusion. Both fighters faced elite opposition in their own eras and consistently came out on top. Mayweather's perfect record and unmatched defensive mastery defined his generation, while Crawford's ability to move through weight classes and still dominate top contenders is equally impressive music. The difficulty in comparing them comes down to differences in timing, opponents, and circumstances, making a direct comparison almost impossible to judge fairly. In the end, rather than picking one over the other, it's more accurate to say both represent the highest level of boxing greatness in their own right.
My goodness, I said that was going to happen. If Crawford was to win, we're going to be seeing a lot of these debates on whether or not Floyd Mayweather or Terence Crawford is going to be better. Now, this is going to be a debate for a long, long time. I'm talking about one of those debates like LeBron versus MJ, Messi versus Ronaldo. It's one of those. And the thing is, I can get behind it. Let me go ahead and say this. When it comes to resume, I do think we give Floyd Mayweather the edge. I mean, he beat a bunch of champions. He reigned for a long time. While Crawford, his resume is heavily criticized, and he's just not getting, his kind of respect for beating Errol Spence and Canelo Alvarez. But if we're talking strictly off of skills, this is where things get really, really tough to talk about. I think a fair assessment of this matchup would be Floyd Mayweather wins from 135 and 140, while Crawford wins from 147 to 154. And I say that because I feel like Floyd's style changed once he got to a welterweight. He became a more defensive fighter, and he just wasn't as much focused on offense. And knowing this, I feel like Crawford would have had a much better chance of handling him. And we all know, Crawford was an absolute monster at welterweight. But hey man, like I said, this is going to be a debate for a very long time. I can't wait to hear all the talk about it. But I'm curious to your thoughts. Who you think wins in the fight? Floyd or Terence Crawford? Let's talk about it, and follow me for more boxing talk.
Greg Hackett's reaction to Terence Crawford's victory over Canelo Alvarez highlights the deeper meaning behind that performance. By calling Canelo the top force in boxing for over a decade, Hackett emphasizes just how dominant and intimidating he had been, which made the result even more significant. According to him, Crawford didn't just step into the ring. He took control, broke Canelo down, and shifted the balance of power in the sport. Hackett believes that performance officially marked Crawford as the new top threat in boxing, the fighter everyone now has to prepare for and fear. He adds that this win wasn't just another achievement, but a moment that reshaped the sport's hierarchy, turning Crawford into the man who dethroned the long-standing ruler and emerged as the new dominant force.
Remember, Canelo is the guy right now in the sport that's supposed to be the man, big bad wolf. You beat him, you the wolf. Now it's like, you know what I mean? Like, all right, who else I'm gonna fight? You beat the shark, you beat the wolf. Right. Man, like, you know what I mean? Ain't no more ops out there. It's ops out there, but who gonna make them really want to get up? That's the
shit gotta make sense. Like you said, you be the shark, and then you be the wolf.
Yeah.
But there's the monster.
Yeah, there is, but that's like a real monster.
Bro, that's to me it don't make sense, but that's
really
what
a monster.
Yo, is that proof? All right, we got the legendary Pape in the building. Legend.
Chill, man.
But what makes sense? Like, what makes the most sense? I know you said get a line of suits, Brooks Brothers.
Yeah, get a line of suits. Get a line of suits, get your money. Yeah, go ahead and get the easy money, man. You ain't gotta sweat no more.
What's up, boy?
Not saying you ain't gotta work, you ain't gotta sweat.
What's happening?
He's paved a career where he could sit down at a table and get this money. He could come out with a Terence Crawford series now, just doing whatever he like to do. People gonna watch it. Nobody, the fighting part, people don't understand what it's like to be a fighter. A lot of times fighters really don't be interested in certain fights. It's cause when a guy see himself up here and then is fighting a guy down here, it don't interest him. So therefore, when he train, he not gonna really train. He gonna train, but he not gonna train. He not gonna listen. He gonna feel like his coach taking it too serious, and he's like, man, we ain't.
Terence Crawford's triumph over Canelo Alvarez marked a defining peak in his career, putting to rest any remaining doubts about his greatness music. Even before that, his dominant win over Errol Spence Jr. had already silenced many critics who questioned the level of opposition he had faced. Against Spence, Crawford showed total control from start to finish, leaving no real argument on the scorecards or in performance. However, it was his complete dismantling of Canelo, a fighter long considered nearly unbeatable, that truly cemented his legacy. Today, many analysts place Crawford firmly among boxing's all-time greats, pointing to his ability to dominate elite champions across multiple weight classes as clear proof of his skill, adaptability, and overall supremacy in the sport.
There's enough action, and I think Crawford displayed his skill enough, even to someone with not the most trained eye, that they know they saw a very high-level athlete perform something at a very high level last night. I think he gained the sports world's attention last night and respect. He already did after Spence, but it went to another level in this fight.
And I think even the fight itself, like just from a median level, but then the moments where they were having these exchanges, like kind of late in the fight, then people were like, all right, it was good. Then like, okay, I saw somebody like they're squabbing, like there's a fight here. So I think it did.
And Crawford closed the show.
Yeah.
In 10, 11, 12, he stood in there and landed some hard shots and rocked Canelo at the bell. He didn't. James was talking about the great Floyd Mayweather. Floyd would go up on you 8-0 and then coast, and you might as well turn the fight off at midway through the ninth. Like, you know, he's not gonna. But
that wraps up today's video. Make sure to stay tuned for more, and we'll see you in the next one.